Hi, I'm Brian Levy. I'm a partner at Manchester Living and the host of the Manchester Living podcast. The purpose of the podcast is to help people navigate the complex maze of elder care. There is a lexicon of elder care terms on our website at manchesterlivingpodcast.com. After today's show, you're probably going to want to look at it because we've got a lot of acronyms to get through. Today, we're talking about SNFs and rehabs. What's a SNF? Stay tuned and you'll find out. Today's new and noteworthy, let's take a look at Mary Flip as she shares advice on living a long life.
She asked what your secret for life is to make it good. Your secret.
My secret?
Yeah.
Right. God, I don't know. Tequila.
She's celebrating a century and a year today with her favorite beer, a Guinness, and dancing.
Okay, I'll get up on the table.
I love her. Happy birthday, Mary. I raise my glass to you. All right, let's jump in. Today, as I said, we're talking about SNFs and rehabs. My friend Joni Watson, Director of Healthcare Operations with Presbyterian Village North. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Roland Castillo, my other friend, who is the Director of Business Development for Healthcare at CC Young. Thank you for being here. Well, I have two industry experts to explain what in the world is. So let's jump in. Roland, who are you and what do you do?
I'm the Director of Business Development at CC Young and also the hospital liaison. So what I do is once we get a referral from the hospital, I'll go meet the patient, just kind of walk them through what's going to happen, make sure they're a good fit for us, make sure that we're a good fit for them, that we're going to offer them the care that they need, and really just coordinate that between my building and the hospital and
Great.
Get them in.
Joni.
Well, I am the Director of Healthcare Operations at Presbyterian Village North and the administrator of the skilled nursing area and also support the assisted living areas as well.
Great. And both of y'all are CCRCs, is that correct? You want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about
Correct.
that? What is a CCRC for another acronym?
Well, a continuing care retirement community,
Great.
and that simply means we have all levels of care. It's more about having long-term care, skilled nursing, assisted living, and also independent living.
Wonderful. Thank you. What is the difference between rehab and SNF? And when you mentioned good fit, what is a good fit?
Well, like say I had a patient yesterday and they needed a acuity level of healthcare that really wasn't going to be done in my building. They would need the higher level, maybe to go to an acute rehab, something that we don't offer. Because when we get patients in, the most important thing, we want to make sure that they can get the care they need. Okay, we just don't want to get them in just to get them in. We want to get them in so they can, be taken care of and get back home.
So when you say you getting a patient in, so walk me through a scenario. Mom falls, she breaks her hip, she goes in for surgery. Poof, then what?
Then typically the case manager at the hospital is going to, give the family direction as to, the doctor feels like your mom needs to go to rehab. And these are the options. Typically they'll give options. So you mentioned the inpatient rehab level, the acute inpatient. That's a hospital level of care. So different than the skilled nursing environment in that it's the hospital, the doctor sees you every day, typically at least one doctor. You have to really be able to tolerate 3 hours of therapy a day. So that's something a little bit different than skilled nursing. Skilled nursing, the doctor's going to see you 2-3 times a week or more if needed. But the length of stay is typically a little bit longer, about 18 to 20 days. And you will, as much therapy as you can tolerate is what you will receive. Now, this can mean, you still have 24-hour skilled nursing at both of the levels of care.
Who decides what level of care? I mean, is that coming from the physician? Is that coming after you guys do an assessment and decide what we're going to do with this person?
Pretty much. I think the family many times decides, and it depends on the individual. Can they tolerate 3 hours of therapy? It's just a little more intensive.
And really, that's what we go out to the hospital to kind of check. The doctor's going to say, hey, we think your mom would do great at SNF. So they have liaisons. I'll go out there. We'll just kind of go over their notes, talk to the family, see what their goal is. And then just, you know what? You're right. Let's bring you over and get you started.
And as Roland mentioned, I think there are lots of differences that are just maybe minor, like certain things we would be able to manage at our level of care that they would definitely be able to manage at a higher level, but then there are some things they manage we might not be able to. You know, ventilators, I'm thinking of
Right. Well, like
respiratory type
absolutely,
situations.
like major wound care, things like that. It's best if they go, somewhere that deals with that and they have expertise in that.
When someone's in rehab, I hear often from families saying, "Oh my gosh, it's like jail. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of hard work." What is all that about?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Yes.
Therapy is intense for somebody
That's
who
why
is
it's called
elderly
therapy.
and
Absolutely.
and just they've been in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, maybe longer, haven't done very much. So coming to an environment where we have physical, occupational, and speech therapy, and it's a little livelier and a little bit more participatory, let's say. So,
and that's exactly what I'll tell my patients and their family members. That look, we're not a lay around and watch TV facility. You're coming over here for rehab. You're coming over here to get better. You're coming over here so we can get you home safely. So I just let them know that that's what's going to happen. We're not going to lay around. We're going to work.
It's called rehab for a reason.
Exactly.
You got to do the hard work to get better. There are different levels of post-acute care that offer rehab depending on the needs of the individual. Can you address the different levels?
Well, as we spoke about the acute inpatient rehab level, I probably didn't mention their length of stay is a little bit shorter, a little more intense on the rehab side, and their length of stay is a little shorter. I think it's about 7 to 12 days at this point. And then ours is a little longer. It's, average is 18 to 20 days. Some stay longer, some aren't there quite as long. It just depends on their needs.
And your inpatient rehab, you're going to be able to tolerate more than 3 hours of therapy a day. Right. You're there for therapy. So it's pretty intensive, like she's saying. That our building, it's a little bit lower than that, but we'll still do therapy with you. It's just not going to be as intensive as a inpatient rehab.
When someone's in rehab or skilled nursing, what dictates the length of stay?
Well, if they are a Medicare, traditional Medicare is their payer source, then we get to decide. We meet as a team at least once a week and talk about the needs and the goals and where are we towards those goals. And if they have a managed Medicare plan, like United Healthcare is very popular in this area, Humana, then the case manager with the insurance company has more of a involvement in deciding that.
So is it fair to say it's more dictated by the funds than it is their condition?
It can be.
Well, with the insurance, what they'll do is they'll meet with our nurses. Probably they'll talk every 6 days, and they'll say, okay, you know what? Roland's doing great, but he could probably deal with about 5 more days. So they'll discuss it, and they'll say, you know what? The insurance will say, you're right. Let's do 5 more days. But if they're talking, they say, you know what? He's plateaued. He's great. Let's go ahead and discharge him. Get him back home. That's kind of what the insurance dictates, and they really decide how long you're going to stay there.
I think the goal for them is to get the individual to the next level of care.
Absolutely.
So not necessarily, and this is something that is a little difficult for families to understand, is that it doesn't mean that they'll necessarily be back where they were before they came to rehab.
Right. You got to be realistic.
Right. So there's a lot involved in the decision to go to skilled nursing or to inpatient rehab or just to go home, because many people just want to go home and get home health care services.
So let's talk about that. It's a great point. When people do just want to go home, is home health an option? Is private duty an option? What are their options that could at least come close to being somewhere else in rehab?
Well, obviously the home health care services are very common, and so you will still get physical therapy services and nursing services. It's just not going to be as frequent. So depending on the need of the individual, they may want to opt for that. Depends on how much support they have at home.
And I have that conversation with a patient all the time, because everybody wants to go home.
Sure.
Nobody wants to go to rehab. So I said, look, just give us a few more days. Come over. Let's get you better. Let's get you stronger, so that when you go home, you stay home. Because everybody wants to go home.
Sure.
So you go home the next day, you find out, hey, it's a little tough. It's kind of rougher than I thought. I'm not as strong as I thought. Maybe you have a fall. Maybe have a setback. Then we're right back at square one, starting all over again.
Readmit. It's ground zero.
Right. So those are the things that we need to discuss with families when you're at the bedside and assessing the patient and the family. You want to make sure that you share those things with them. obviously, you're familiar with the caregiving, private duty caregiving business, and that's something we always offer when somebody does go home with their family and they're going to need a little more help than what the loved one they live with may be able to tolerate. So lots of things to consider. It's a complex business, but all in all, I think it starts at the hospital with the case manager helping to try to guide the family. Just knowing the family, knowing what their needs are, where they live.
Right.
It's always important to know, we want to be close to home.
So let's address home health is medical in-home care covered by insurance,
And
private
Medicare.
pay, or Medicare.
Right.
Private duty is in-home non-medical care that is dictated, the schedule's dictated by not a doctor, but by the client, and it's private pay or long-term care insurance.
Correct.
Okay. Right. Y'all mentioned LTAC. Can you walk me through exactly LTAC, what are those services and how are they paid for?
I can. LTAC stands for long-term acute care. And that's really the step down from the acute care hospital. So it's the next step, typically for somebody who's very complex. They have complex clinical needs. They have complex wound care. Perhaps it's multiple IV antibiotics, and then our respiratory care. So many people that end up, unfortunately, on a ventilator for some respiratory issue may want to go to an LTAC because they can help get them off the ventilator. And it's more of a progressive clinical care, I think, than we couldn't do something like that at our level of skilled nursing.
They're monitored way more than it would be at a skilled nursing facility.
24-hour respiratory care
and
at an LTAC.
Right. And long term. I mean, we're talking 30, 60 days?
It used to be, but I think all of those have shortened somewhat. So probably closer to 25, I would say, or less. But, they do still participate in rehab if they can, physical, occupational, speech therapy. It just may depend really on the individual, how much they can tolerate. That's not the primary reason they're there.
Right. Roland, what haven't I asked you that I should?
It was just popping in my head, sometimes the brother, the daughter, the father, the son, they're overwhelmed. They didn't expect this. They didn't anticipate mom being in the hospital needing rehab here in the next 2 days. Biggest thing is listen to the social worker, listen to the doctor. They're there to help you, and they're trying to help you. I promise you they are. Sometimes a family argue, no, my dad needs to go here. Listen to the doctor, okay? They're going to help you.
Yeah.
And don't feel like, oh, I should have been prepared for this. Nobody's ready for it. A lot of people feel overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. Social worker's going to help you out. She's going to call Joni. She's going to call me. Somebody like myself. You go out there and walk you through the process. And even when the social worker's not sure, they'll call me and I'll say, hey, let me go talk to the patient. We'll just feel them out. The family's there too. See what you want. See what you want to get out of this. And then just go from there. But the biggest thing I would tell my patients, listen to your doctor. Listen to the social worker. They're there to help you.
Good advice. Joni, what haven't I asked you that I should?
Well, I think if I'm a family member and my mom, my loved one is in the hospital and they need to go to rehab and I'm trying to make a decision, where should I go? I would do your homework. Make sure you go and visit. Sometimes it's like the feel you get when you walk in. Are people friendly? Is it a warm environment? Is it something that my mom is going to be afraid of? Or is it something that she might feel comfortable in? Every place is different, but I would say do your homework, and many of our referrals come from, a friend of a friend had a mom who, went through rehab at Presbyterian Village North. So I would do your homework. I would ask, what can they provide? And each individual has different needs. If it's a diet restriction, something like that. Make sure that, my mom's gluten-free. She has been for years. Just make sure that they can accommodate those needs. Yeah. Because even though we are the same level of care, many of the communities are a little bit different.
They have a specialized level of care.
Yeah.
Right.
And what Joni's saying that I didn't even think of is, she's saying do your homework, but I would advise you just to go out to the building. You say the social worker gives you 3 buildings, 3 options. Go to them. Don't call ahead. Just roll in there. Say, hey, I'm here to take a tour of the building, see what's going on here, and you'll get a feel. You'll get a feel real quick.
No doubt.
You're going to see. You're going to see how it works.
Home, or at least temporary home.
Right.
That's
yes,
for sure.
Absolutely.
And there's one other thing I think that's important with a family, that if their mom or dad, they really want to go home. They really want to. You know, sometimes you really want to give your loved one what they ask for, but keep in touch. You know, like as a liaison, you're going to give them your information. We do the same. Our clinical liaison is going to give them, you know, keep my number in case you need something, because many times we can, if they're not doing well at home, we can admit them from home.
Yeah.
As long as we have the, you know, physician's orders and, you know, we have a medical director, so that's not a problem. But I think it's important to keep in touch, because you don't want to leave somebody out there thinking, oh, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done this.
And then they feel like I made a mistake. I'm too embarrassed to reopen
Right.
that
Absolutely.
door. Don't be.
We try to keep the door open, even with
Feelings don't get hurt.
right.
Yeah.
With our family members and patients who discharge, we do follow-up calls with them too, just to make sure everything's okay, because length of stay is shorter than it was. So, you know, we want to make sure that they have everything they need and that the expectations of home have been met.
Yeah, great.
And like you said, I mean, even whoever's watching this podcast, just the fact that they're watching this puts them that much more ahead of the game. It's impressive. It's great that you're doing it. There's a lot of questions, but, you know, the fact that you're doing homework right now is great.
Yeah. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Thank you both for being here.
Yes, sir.
We're going to move on to the nugget portion of the podcast. This is a great visual I saw floating around the internet recently. It says, time is precious. Don't waste it. Time is precious. And tomorrow's no guarantee. So that's my cliche for the day. We are going to move on to the lightning round. This is an opportunity for viewers to get to know y'all personally, non-clinically. Don't look shocked. Quick answers. We'll start with you and then move around. Where were you born and raised?
San Antonio, raised in Dallas.
Where were you born and raised?
St. Louis.
College and degree.
Texas Tech, marketing.
Joni, college and degree.
I have a bachelor's degree in physical therapy at St. Louis University, and I have a master's in public administration from University of Texas at Tyler.
Great. Roland, road trip or fly?
Fly.
Road trip
Fly.
or fly. Still in touch with college friends?
Absolutely.
Joni,
A few.
ever been arrested?
No.
Ever been arrested?
No.
Come on. Call or text?
Call.
Call.
Really? Bilingual?
No.
Yes.
No. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip.
Vanilla.
IKEA furniture, self-assemble or call someone?
Call someone.
Call someone.
Me too. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
iPhone.
There you go. Sentimental or toss all the kids' projects out?
Toss all the kid projects out.
That's a tough one. Probably more sentimental.
Sentimental. Karaoke, yes or no?
No.
No.
No. All right. Proudest career accomplishment?
I would say being in this industry 15 years.
Great.
I helped develop a program we call Live and Thrive Your Way, and it was really more about being able to allow people to make their own choices about where they wanted to go, but help provide the resources that they need to be successful.
Love it. Thank you. Well, thank you both for being here. I'm going to put up the URL for both of your facilities on the screen in case people want to reach out to you.
Great.
So thank you so much. Thanks for watching today. If you're interested in past shows or dialing up this show again, you can find it on iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere you get your social media. Just Google or search Manchester Living Podcast. Thanks for watching today. If there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out directly.